Whoa, it's Tata time. Yeah. So today, we're going to do more with percents. We're going to talk about percent of change. So what if I went from this to that? What percent of increase or decrease was it? So percent of change is the change over time by either increase or decrease. So 15% increase, 32% decrease. Okay, so remember that tax and tips and sales stuff we talked about? Those are actually percent of change because we go from a certain amount and we change the amount, the total. So what we're going to do today is trying to find out how much change happened. So let's look at an example. Well, first, actually, let's look at the formula. Okay, so we have this formula. We put percent on top over 100 equals change over the original amount. And when I say change, I'm talking about the difference between the original amount and the new amount. Okay, it's a subtraction problem, but I want you to always put the bigger number first. Sometimes that's going to be your original. Okay, so if we decrease something, the original is going to be bigger. If we're increasing something, the new one's going to be bigger. We always want that answer to be positive. So always put the bigger number first and then subtract away the smaller number. Okay, so the amount of change over the original equals percent over 100. So now let's look at an example. Let's say we have Spotify. Okay, so Spotify in 2009, I know you guys were just little bitty babies, was $10. And so now it costs $13.50. So somebody wants to find out what is the percent of change. All right, so let's highlight what we know. Okay, so we know that in 2009 it cost $10. And now in 2020 it costs $13.50. Okay, so there's our original amount, $10. Our new amount is $13.50. Okay, so we don't know the percent. That's what we're trying to find. So let's fill in what we do know. We don't know percent, so we put an X. The amount of change is going to be how much went from new to old. Okay, so how much did we increase? So we subtract those two numbers. $13.50 minus 10 is, of course, $3.50. And then on bottom is going to be the original amount. So where did we start? We started at 10. So that's going to be on bottom. So now I cross multiply, and we end up seeing that our percent of increase was 35%. So we went from $10 to $13.50, so they increased prices by 35%. So as you can see, this can be very helpful in learning, like over time, how much stuff increases or decreases in price. All right, so I want to do another problem, but I gotta take this off so we can do it. All right, so let's do that right now. Oh, okay. So Under Armour, I had this sweater here. Okay, so let's use this as an example. This Under Armour sweater was $50, but I went to Belk and it was actually marked down for $40. So I want you to help me find the sales percent. So how much percent off was this quarter zip or sweater, whatever you want to call it. All right, so it was 50. That's our original amount. The new amount is $40. So we're going to go from 50 to 40 and we're trying to find out the percent. Okay, so let's fill it in. We don't know the percent, so we're going to put X over 100 equals. How much did I save? Well, if I went from 50 to 40, I saved $10. So that's going to be on top. What was the original amount? Well, this thing was marked for $50 to begin with. So my original amount is 50. So it's 10 over 50. So now we cross multiply. So we do 100 times 10, 50 times X. And then when we divide by 50, we see that the percent of sales was 20% off. So I got this for 20% off, which for Under Armour is a big deal. All right, so you guys can actually go with your parents to the store and find out the sales price. Find out what the percent off is or percent increase is. Okay, so you guys can actually help your parents. All right, so I'm going to put this back on now. Okay, whew. All right, so now let's do a third problem here. The third problem. This year's 7th grade class, so you guys, is actually a 15% decrease in enrollment from last year's class. You guys just don't have as many people as they do. No big deal. But I do want to find out how many people do you guys have if last year we had 180 kids. All right, so remember, 180 is our original amount. That's where we started. But we had a 15% decrease. So how this problem is different than the previous two is I'm giving you the percent here. I want you to find how many kids are in this year's class. So this is a two-part problem. Okay, so you remember those two-part problems we talked about before with the percent, and we had to find out the new price and all that? This is very similar to that. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is find out the amount of change. Because I told you there was a 15% decrease, And then I told you that last year was 180. So to find out how many this year is, we got to find out the change and then use that amount to find out the new amount. So we're going to put percent on top. So 15 over 100 equals, I don't know the amount of change, so the x is going to go there, over the original amount, which was 180. So when we cross multiply and we solve that one, we find out that you guys have 27 less students. All right, but that's not what the original problem asked for. Remember what the original problem said. How many students are in this year's 7th grade class? Well, if I went from 180 and I went down, I know the amount of change was 27. I decreased 27 kids. All I got to do, remember, decrease means subtraction. Increase means addition. So we're going to subtract 27 from 180. So 180 minus 27 is 153 kids. So if we have that original problem, so it says 15% decrease in enrollment, and we had 180, we can use those numbers to help us figure out how many kids are in class this year. So as you can see, this has a lot of real-life application. A lot of you guys are going to be using this in your jobs, even the jobs you have in a few years, working at a fast food restaurant or a retail store. You never know. You guys are always going to be using percents. This is something that's definitely applicable. So I want you to rock it. And you guys have been. I can't wait to see that. You guys got this. Tada time out.